Simon, maybe just if you can, again, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what it is that you're doing inside the industry at the moment.
Sure. Fantastic. Thank you, Michael. And thanks, RRG Group, for this opportunity. I'm really stoked to be appearing here today. Guys, I look after a couple of rent rolls for the Woodards network. I do Carlton and Ascot Vale offices. We've got just shy of 4,000 managements, and I've got a team of 41 staff delivering services to those 4,000 odd managements. So, look, to be perfectly honest, we've been super lucky through COVID. We've had some fantastic experiences with our employment retention and our ability to recruit. And I was just hoping if I can share some of those concepts and those ideas with you today and hopefully give you some more direction. I know this is the hot topic of the industry, so I'm just going to go ahead and fly into it, guys, and hopefully you can get something of use today and put it into practice in your business. So firstly, what I wanted to do is introduce a topic which is really close to my heart, and that is how we're treating our employees. And what I want you to do for this next 10, 15 minutes is just have a bit of a think about treating your employees like your customers. Now, I know that's a bit of a foreign concept, and particularly with the sort of stuff we have to deal with day to day, but real estate agents are fantastic at attracting and retaining customers. And what I think we need to do as a group and as an industry is really turn that thinking on its head and apply those customer concepts to our employees. So the way I'm going to start this off is by way of example, and I hope you can see that. Can everyone see what I'm holding up there? I don't know whether it's going to show up or not because
it's reflecting, Simon.
What about that? If you can see that. But what this is, if you can't see it, is a tiny little piece of paper, and it's printed by Coles, and it comes out every time at the end of your receipt when you go and buy a load of groceries. This promises to give you 4 cents off a litre if you go and fill up and buy petrol from Coles. So I guess this prompts a couple of really questions. Number one, why am I showing this? Who carries one of these around in their wallets incessantly and have done for the last 10 years, ever since Coles have decided that they're going to start selling petrol? Now, I remember at the time when Coles started selling petrol, everyone started scratching their heads. So what the bloody hell are they doing? But what they were doing is very, very clever, and now it's become everyday part of our lives. So we carry these stupid pieces of paper around in our wallets and purses all day, every day. Cost Coles a grand total of $2. But what it actually means is when I'm driving along the road, and you'll appreciate this, Mark, in my V8, which I need to stop pretty regularly to fill up with fuel, I'm avoiding every other petrol station except Coles petrol stations. So what they've done with a $2 piece of paper is buy my loyalty to that business. And you also see them now selling all sorts of other things as well, like Coles car insurance, you know, from a business that started off selling, you know, Vegemite and milk by the litre. They're now selling you car insurance, they're selling you petrol, and they're selling you all sorts of other things. But what they're actually doing behind the scenes is they're creating sticky customers. So I want you to start thinking about that concept and think about applying it to your employees. How are you going to create sticky customers or sticky employees? And what is your $2 piece of paper that your employees are going to be carrying around that's going to hold them to your business in a long term? While I'm on that, I'll give you another example. And again, this is not going to show up very well. This is a Flybuys card in case you can't see it. We all carry these things around. And as that network works, we all find ourselves shopping at certain places and being committed to certain retailers simply because they produce this card and promise us these rewards. So again, the question is, what is our Flybuys card with our employees and how are we going to generate that? There's all sorts of examples of this out there in the retail land. I'll hit a couple of quick ones. I'm not going to keep showing you. I've got an RACV membership card here. Those of you guys who are in RACV membership realize that as you stay with them longer, they progressively apply bigger and bigger discounts to your bill. And if you're like me, you end up with a whole bunch of policies and being with them for close to 20 years now. I don't want to leave because every time I look at a competitor, I realize that the discounts that I'm getting or the benefits I'm getting from them because I'm a long, loyal customer is actually outweighing the benefits of me moving on to another provider. So again, let's take that concept and start thinking about it in property management and thinking about it, how we're going to hold our valuable employees to our business, how we're going to buy their loyalty, and how are we going to deepen our relationship with them and to form stickiness around our employees. So other ideas are things like loss leaders. Let me try and introduce this topic so you understand. In retail, they have this thing called loss leaders. I'm not sure whether you ever wondered, but you can go into Coles and you can buy Coca-Cola for $1 a litre, which is actually below cost. So that attracts you into the business. You pick up your Coke, and on the way out, you might pick up a box of saladas or a whole bunch of other stuff that you're paying full price for. So in our marketplace, certainly mine, there's a competitor of ours that actually uses loss leaders in onboarding new landlords. You know, and they offer 6 months of rent-free management-free when they sign you on, which is giving away half their year's commission just to bring you on. So let's have a think about that. If you're willing to do that for a customer, or throw in free marketing, or wipe out a leasing fee once off, why aren't we willing to do this with an employee? Why can't we consider a sign-on bonus for an employee? You know, if you're looking out there to find a good employee and there's 3 or 4 businesses competing with one, why wouldn't you throw a few $1,000s on the table as a sign-on bonus to get them attracted to your business over your competitors? You know, that would be a loss-leading approach to retaining employees. So let's go on with that and expand that concept. In the 90s, PepsiCo, one of many companies who were really, really excited about the idea of profit share as a form of employee retention. And they got really, really good at it. So much so that if you worked at the average KFC or Pizza Hut or anything as a teenager like I did, you actually got given shares in PepsiCo. And those were at option rates. And as the company grew and you stayed with them, you could watch your options grow on the side. And this is in the 90s that this was being done. So why is it that us in property management and real estate in general can't start looking at some of these concepts and applying it to our employees? So let's have a bit of a think about what that actually means practically. What is our version of creating sticky employees? A concept that Mark and I talk about regularly, and I put on the table for the right recruit, is a retention bonus. A retention bonus is simply a 5-figure sum that is available to that employee after they work for me for 3 years. If they don't make it to 3 years, it's 2 years and 364 days, they don't get a proportion of it. They get nothing if they leave your business. That is a tool that we've used time and time again to get longer term retention from our employees. Does everyone understand what I'm talking about here? So in that time, in a 3-year period, how much would it have cost you if you turned that property manager over 3 times, which is the current average? I hear it's around 9 to 12 months. So you would pay some fine business like Buckmaster probably to the tune of $8,000 to $10,000 to find you 3 employees for 3 years, whereas you could get away with holding one by throwing 10 grand on the table for 3 years. I mean, we're talking about direct offset of cost of loss by getting in ahead of the game. Sign-up bonus or retention bonus, you could look at very similarly. So you can see how if you start thinking about these concepts, you can actually start applying them really easily to your employees. Another one that we use really, really well to our benefit is the Cert 4 program. So obviously pre-October 21, we're talking about taking an agent's rep, qualified agent's rep, and turning them into a fully licensed agent. Now, that's something that lots of agent reps have tried and failed. In fact, I've lost count of how many people I've met who said, oh, I signed up for the full license course, but never made it. We started offering it years and years ago to our employees, but totally free. We'll pay for it. We'll put you through in groups of 3, 4, or 5 so that you've got the ability to work off each other, go to the training sessions as a group. Maybe you might miss a night because you're on mixed netball team and you get to pick up someone else's notes. But if you're willing to pay for that, yet at the same time say to your employees, if you don't pass or if you leave the business during the time of your Cert 4 program, you're going to have to pay those funds back to us. And that's going to create a sticky employee because there's another reason for them to be with you that's not just predicated on the paycheck you send them fortnightly or monthly. So there's a couple of ideas for you guys of how to start taking these retail concepts and then applying them to use as an employee retention process. So that's one side of the coin. I think you guys should also consider getting really, really creative with your employment contracts and really getting down to the nitty gritty of what it is that your employee wants. Some of the more basic suggestions I have is, start some way of your employees getting to you and telling you what they want. You know, you might be running an upward feedback program within your business. You might go straight back to the bare basics and have a suggestion box out the front of your office, or you might want to hide that in the lunchroom so that you don't see them coming in and putting the suggestion in. But you just find out what it is your employees want. Now, a lot of you guys would tell me in here, I know exactly what my employee want. They want no Saturdays, they want flexible work conditions, they want higher pay, they want more holidays, they want time in lieu on Saturdays, and blah, 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 blah. But have we all sat down with all of our employees and asked them, what do you want? My suggestion is probably, if you are, you're not doing it enough, and we could all do it a little bit more. I think employment reviews should be around 3 to 6 monthly at the moment, and I think you really should be talking to them about what they want. If you find out what each individual employee wants, then I think you should get about the business of spending a bit of money now to avoid a loss in the future. Let's say an employee said to you, Simon, I want to stay on board with you, but I want to have something, let's call it X, and that X costs you $5,000. Right? That $5,000 you need to start looking at in consideration to how much is it going to cost me to replace this employee? How much time and labor would I have to put in to train the new employee? If you're like me, you'll probably end up with 20,000 plus when you do that formula. So why wouldn't you take a quarter of that now and invest it in that employee, give them exactly what they want, but at the same time, ask them for exactly what you want in return? Now, each of your businesses will be different, and each of your needs in your business will be different. But one suggestion I have is all of our businesses with flexible working arrangements needs transparency. You know, we haven't been great as an industry, and we really need to be able to get better at it. And this is the reason that a lot of sales directors and a lot of other directors in our industry have said, as soon as lockdown is over, I want all my staff back into the office. Because the concept in their mind is if they're all there, then I am somehow in control and I can manage them better. We all know that they're probably not doing that, but just because they can see them there at 9 o'clock and see them there at 5:30, they get the impression of being done, things are being done. But that couldn't be further from the truth. We're all behind the ball when it comes to monitoring and managing the performance of our team members. And if we can build and create successful tools and mechanisms to record and make sure they're doing the job, then we really don't need to be worried about where they are. We don't really need to be worried about what time they clock on, what time they clock off. If we can see exactly what they're doing, we can see that they're doing the job, then really it makes our lives easier, and we don't have to worry about things like flexibility, working from home in the future. And I think that's where this industry really needs to get good at. We need to work with our systems and tools in place, develop new ones, and expand on our protocols of KPIs, not to check up on our employees, but to be able to check in on our employees, so that we know exactly what they're doing and that we know we can feel comfortable that the job's being done.
Simon, it's more outcome driven than I guess micromanagement is what I'm hearing from that.
Absolutely. I think for years we've been bad at knowing what's going on in our businesses. You know, we pretend we've got KPI systems, we pretend we monitor people, but the truth is we put them on a seat and we ask them to stay there and deliver services, and we hope they stay there for the longest possible time. That is not how employment's going to work into the future in this industry.
And do you use NPS, Simon?
We've dabbled with NPS. Yeah, we've dabbled with NPS in the past.
Or something similar.
We had some pretty good results with it, but I think NPS is all about when you deliver it. I think it's always an interesting conversation when everyone's standing around telling you their NPS scores. If you deliver it to your clients at the right time, you're going to get good NPS scores. If you deliver it to at different times, you might not get the same result. But yeah, we've used that to effect in periods of time in our business. And
I guess with over 4,000 properties collectively, and you have been through the transition of a rent roll acquisition, and quite a significant one, where you recently have gone through that. Simon, thank you very much. Just very, very quickly, if I may, your perspective on the changes to the legislation, changes to the minimum education standards.
Oh, I think it's been an absolute disaster for the industry. You know, we we're chatting earlier about the flow of juniors into this industry has effectively been turned off like a tap. You know, in the old days, you could smash through 3 units and find yourself standing at one of our offices, you know, within a very short space of time, probably in a matter of weeks. Now we're talking about months and thousands of dollars. And as a result, we're just really not seeing new entrants into the marketplace. So look, it's incumbent upon all of us in this room as leaders of this industry to start going back to basics and create the training grounds that our industry used to be really well known for. We need to go back to the basics and start giving juniors opportunities and building our own property managers, because I can tell you, if you get to the point where you need a property manager and you've got a hole in your business, you're probably 6 months behind already.
Absolutely. And always, I can remember Bob Walters, for those who actually, and I got recent here, Bob Walters, always employ more staff than you need. And that was one of the things that was stuck in my mind. Don't ever be running that lean that you are in trouble when you lose one person or holidays and those sorts of things. Simon, thank you very, very much. I think you might have dazzled a few people with your retention bonus, and they're probably sitting there thinking, okay, what's going on here? Are you open to people connecting to you directly?
Absolutely. My charge out rates are very reasonable, Michael. So if anyone wants to call me up and ask me ideas, I'm happy to share with you.
I might take a management clip along the way. Thank you. Introduction clip along the way.